Keeping up their wholesome, lighthearted image off-screen was an unwritten part of the job for any 70s sitcom star. These TV icons couldn't keep up their end of the bargain. A sitcom star and teen idol thanks to the Partridge Family, David Cassidy disclosed his drinking problem at a 2008 fundraiser for the Alcohol and Substance Abuse Prevention Council of Saratoga County, saying, "Tonight I am publicly stating that I am an alcoholic."
It's very humbling, and it's also humiliating.
2 years later, a highway patrol officer in St. Lucie, Florida, arrested Cassidy for driving under the influence. He posted bail and ultimately received a sentence of 1 year probation and a suspended license. Cassidy received another DUI in Schodack, New York in August 2013. This time, Cassidy's sentence consisted of 50 hours of community service and a $900 fine. Then, in January 2014, police in California arrested Cassidy on suspicion of DUI, for which he was ordered to enter alcohol rehab and received 5 years of probation. That stint in rehab helped Cassidy quit drinking for good, or so he said. When he almost plunged off a stage during a February 2017 concert, Cassidy blamed dementia, not alcohol. Sadly, in November 2017, Cassidy died of liver and kidney failure. Just before his death, he came clean to a documentary producer saying, "I lied about my drinking. I did this to myself to cover up the sadness and the emptiness." Fred Berry is a prime example of an actor who became forever associated with one particular role. On 70s teen sitcom What's Happening, Berry played the beret and suspenders-wearing Freddie Stubbs, aka Rerun. The show went off the air in 1979, and the majority of Berry's post-rerun roles were just clones of the character or cameo appearances where he played himself. But playing Rerun left Berry undone. In a 1996 interview with People magazine, he confessed, "I was a millionaire by the time I was 29. The stress of success got to me, and I got heavily into drugs and alcohol. I was empty inside." A decade-long addiction led to 3 suicide attempts. Berry finally got sober in 1985 and later became a Christian minister. However, his romantic life was also complicated in the wake of his television success. Before Berry's death in 2003, at the age of 52, he was married 6 times to 4 different women. He refused to even name estranged wife number 6, telling people, "She's been trying to get her 15 minutes of fame from me off of my name and my career ever since we got married. I don't want to give her that pleasure." On the 1950s set sitcom Happy Days, Erin Moran played the youngest Cunningham, Joni, from the series' first episode in 1974 until the finale in 1984, except for a brief period from 1982 to 1983 when she starred in the spin-off Joni Loves Chachi.
You went through puberty on national television.
Yes, I did.
After Happy Days ended, Moran struggled to shake her association with the role she played for so long. She appeared in a handful of episodes of shows like Murder, She Wrote and The Love Boat, before disappearing from screens for 10 years, re-emerging to land a few bit parts in the 90s and 2000s, but all was not well. In 2010, Moran lost her home to foreclosure, and police were called to evict the actor and her husband, Steve Fleischman. The couple moved in with her mother-in-law in her trailer in Indiana, but 2 years later, the mother-in-law tossed Moran out for partying too much. At that point, Moran was essentially unhoused, living in motels and surviving off her first share of a legal settlement awarded to Happy Days actors who'd sued CBS for unpaid merchandise royalties. In December 2016, Moran was diagnosed with squamous cell carcinoma, a type of cancer that left her unable to speak by February 2017. In April 2017, Moran was found dead in Harrison County, Indiana at age 56. Mere months after he hit movie theaters as Kenickie in 1978's Grease, Jeff Conaway was on the small screen in Taxi. He'd earned back-to-back Golden Globe nominations for his work as cabbie Bobby Wheeler, but left the show in 1982. The following year, Conaway explained his departure to the Daily News leader, saying, "Bobby was written into an empty hole. There was nowhere to go."
You're one of the biggest actors managers in New York, and me, a young, talented, yet-to-be-discovered actor in the same cab.
But in 2008, Taxi staff writer Sam Simon told the Howard Stern show that, in actuality, Conaway didn't quit. He was fired for, in parts, missing an episode taping after he was found heavily intoxicated in his dressing room. After Taxi, Conaway starred in the quickly canceled series Wizards and Warriors and Berringers, and made the occasional guest appearance on other shows. In 2006, he landed his highest-profile gig in ages, competing on VH1's weight loss contest Celebrity Fit Club. After an on-screen tirade in the 3rd episode, Conaway left the series to enter a substance abuse rehab program, but it didn't seem to take. He threatened the members of Oasis backstage at a concert in 2008. The same year, he appeared on Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew. In January 2010, Conaway fell down a flight of stairs and fractured his neck, broke a hip and arm, and suffered a brain hemorrhage. After 3 months in a care center, he was sent home to break his recurrent addiction to painkillers, but it got the best of him. In May 2011, Conaway died at the age of 60 following a medication overdose. At the age of 33, just as production began on the first season of The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Mary Tyler Moore was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, requiring consistent injections of insulin and testing of blood glucose levels. Over time, people with diabetes can develop complications, and Moore was no exception. Her third and final husband, Dr. Robert Levine, told JDRF what she was never able to overcome was the vision-stealing impact of her diabetic eye disease. Over time, it became a great challenge for her to simply walk across a room and avoid obstacles, or judge changes in grades, or walk downstairs, or be physically active in low light. Moore died in 2017, but she experienced profound vision loss beginning years earlier and kept it a secret. In fact, the actor was almost totally blind during a Mary Tyler Moore Show cast reunion on a 2013 episode of Hot in Cleveland. Levine revealed the truth to People, saying, "We had to sit her at the table. Everyone came to her." By the time Red Fox landed the lead role on Sanford & Son in 1972, he'd been a successful nightclub comedian for decades and had sold millions of copies of his live stand-up albums. The hit sitcom significantly added to the comedian's fortune. At one point, he was earning $25,000 per episode, or about $173,000 today, plus a 25% cut of the profits as a producer over all 6 seasons.
Red, sometimes you're bald, sometimes your hair is red. No matter how it comes out, you're a beautiful human being. I wish you luck. I wish you good things in life. You deserve them.
However, most of that money quickly disappeared. In 1983, Fox declared bankruptcy. He was financially underwater, facing $1.6 million in unpaid taxes and $800,000 in various other debts. 6 years later, the IRS alleged that Fox had neglected to pay taxes on his earnings from 1983 to 1986 and owed them an additional $755,166. They issued liens on his property, which included a substantial jewelry collection, all of which was auctioned off to pay down the bill.
I hope you weren't giving none of our money to that Reverend Ripoff in his Cadillac fund.
In October 1991, 2 years after his second debt crisis, Fox died of a heart attack on the set of his sitcom The Royal Family. The comedian was still in tremendous debt at the time of his death, with $3.6 million still outstanding to the IRS. Harry Morgan started acting in movies in the 1940s, but he'd eventually be known for his TV career. He starred in the long-running 50s sitcom December Bride, the 60s comedy Pete and Gladys, the late 60s Dragnet reboot, and from 1974 to 1983 as Colonel Sherman T. Potter on the Korean War sitcom MASH.
You know, at this point, a lesser man would give up. Being a lesser man, I do.
His career wound down with some more TV sitcom and drama appearances, but came to a stop in July 1996 when he was arrested and charged with domestic violence. Police arrived at the home of 81-year-old Harry Morgan and his 70-year-old wife Barbara in response to a call. After reportedly hearing a woman's screams, they discovered Barbara Morgan with an injured foot, a cut by her eye, and bruising on the arm, all of which sent her to the hospital. Barbara said her husband had been arguing with her at a dinner party before they went home, where things got physical. Morgan faced a charge of misdemeanor spousal battery, but after completing a domestic violence diversion course, the charge was dropped. Doris Day became a movie star in the late 1940s, and in 1968 she starred in 2 of the year's biggest hits, with 6 You Get Egg Roll and Where Were You When the Lights Went Out. That same year, she made the move into TV. The Doris Day Show ran well into the 1970s, but its very existence took its star by surprise. Day's husband, Martin Melcher, was also her manager. After Melcher's death in 1968, Day discovered she was on the hook to CBS to star in a weekly sitcom. As she put it to OK in 1996, all without anyone ever asking me. Day may have been able to get out of her obligations, but she was left with so little money after Melcher's death that she needed the work. Melcher had given free rein of Day's finances to lawyer Jerome Rosenthal, who embezzled some and sunk the rest into sketchy land, finance, and energy projects. After Melcher died, Rosenthal seized even more of Day's fortune. She sued, and the case was decided in 1974, a year after the Doris Day Show ended. Day was awarded a payout of $22.8 million, but would only receive a fraction. Day retired from acting after the Doris Day Show. She died in 2019 at the age of 97. On the family band sitcom The Partridge Family, Danny Bonaduce played joke-cracking bass player Danny Partridge. Bonaduce turned 15 after the comedy wrapped in 1974, at which point he moved out of his family's home, became a heavy substance user, and ended up unhoused in Hollywood.
And I lived right behind this dumpster, but I lived in my car. I had a car. I didn't have a possession.
When he woke up each morning, he'd head to Grauman's Chinese Theater. With the Partridge Family still fresh in the public consciousness, he'd pose for tourist photos and sign autographs.
It was totally embarrassing to be famous and homeless.
Then there was trouble with the law. In 1991, Bonaduce was arrested after allegedly assaulting and robbing a sex worker in Phoenix. He was charged with felony flight, aggravated assault, and robbery, but was released on probation after pleading guilty to a lesser charge. In the early 1970s, teenage actor Susan Day was thrust into fame as Laurie Partridge on the ABC sitcom The Partridge Family. After the series ended in 1974, Day guest starred on numerous TV series, finally launching a major comeback in 1986 with a thrice Emmy-nominated role as attorney Grace Van Owen on LA Law. That's when the usually reserved Day began to open up about her personal life. As a teenager and during her time on The Partridge Family, Day developed anorexia. Driven to keep her weight down, Day at one point ate only carrots, causing her skin to develop an orange hue. Years later, Day dealt with alcoholism and found sobriety with the help of Alcoholics Anonymous. In a 1993 interview with Parade, she shared, "After I'd been sober a year, I was given a cake at a meeting. The tabloids ran a big story about it. I was furious that they had planted an informant in my AA group." Robin Williams brought his frenetic style of comedy to television in 1978 as zany extraterrestrial Mork on Mork and Mindy. During the show's 4-year run, Williams became addicted to cocaine in an effort to self-medicate. Speaking with People in 1998, he confessed, "Cocaine for me was a place to hide. Most people get hyper on coke. It slowed me down." He abruptly stopped using cocaine and alcohol in 1982 following the overdose death of his close friend John Belushi. At the time, his then-wife became pregnant with their first child. At the height of his cocaine use, some of Williams' behavior on the set of Mork and Mindy could be classified as sexual misconduct or even assault. In David Itzkoff's biography Robin, co-star Pam Dauber recalled, "He'd look at you really playful like a puppy all of a sudden, and then he'd grab your and then run away, and somehow he could get away with it. It was the 70s after all."
You gonna give me the line?
Oh, did that check out?
Mork and Mindy director Howard Storm corroborated Dauber's statement in Robin, adding, "He'd be doing a paragraph and in the middle of it he would just turn and grab her ass, or grab a breast." Also in the book, producer Gary Marshall recalled Williams' on-set disrobing habit, saying, "He would take all his clothes off. He would be standing there totally naked and she was trying to act. His aim in life was to make Pam Dauber blush." A ratings hit in the mid-1970s, Laverne and Shirley remained a top 30 show into the early 1980s, with viewership slipping in its 8th season in 1982-83. That's when the sitcom lost what had made it so special, the chemistry between actors Penny Marshall and Cindy Williams. In fact, they missed the character of Shirley altogether, due to Williams' abrupt departure from the series. In 1982, Williams learned she was pregnant. Laverne and Shirley producers were supportive at first, offering to write the pregnancy into the show, building a more accommodating shooting schedule to keep Williams healthy, then writing off her character for 10 episodes. But Williams claimed that producers refused to pay her for the episodes in which she wouldn't appear, and that it was all a ruse to get her off the show and make it a starring vehicle for Marshall. Williams sued. The matter was quietly settled, but the actor never appeared on Laverne and Shirley again. Norman Lear's All in the Family spawned the spin-off Maude, which in turn begat Good Times, a spin-off about a black family living in a Chicago housing project that ran from 1974 to 1979. John Amos played patriarch James Evans for the first 3 seasons, but the character was written out in the season 4 opener, when after taking a high-paying job in Mississippi, the character dies off-screen in a car accident. The network's official story was that Amos left the series to pursue a movie career, but in reality, he'd been fired. In a 1976 interview with Jet, Amos admitted, "Norman Lear called me a month ago and told me my option was not being picked up. That's the same as being fired." Amos and Lear had sparred, often because the actor felt his character set a bad example as a black man with the inability to keep a job. When the World War II sitcom Hogan's Heroes concluded its run in 1971, star Bob Crane moved on to the short-lived The Bob Crane Show and appeared on stage in dinner theaters. In June 1978, while starring in Beginner's Luck in Scottsdale, Arizona, the 49-year-old Crane was discovered dead in his apartment with a cord wrapped around his neck. Maricopa County medical examiner reported that Crane died from multiple blows to the head with a blunt object.
Strangely, according to police reports, there was no evidence of a struggle or break-in, and no sign of the blunt instrument that had struck him.
The investigation exposed the details of Crane's private life. Publicly perceived as a wholesome married father, Crane had countless extramarital affairs and recorded the trysts in Polaroids and on video. His partner in the operation was a video gear salesman named John Carpenter, but Crane had tired of the arrangement. 2 days before he died, Crane called his son Robert. Robert recalled the conversation to Entertainment Weekly, sharing, he says, "I'm making changes. He wanted to lose people like John Carpenter, who had become a pain in the butt. He wanted a clean slate." Crane's murder was never solved, but in 1992, Carpenter was charged with the crime. Prosecutors suggested a missing tripod was used to deliver the fatal blows to Crane. Carpenter was acquitted for lack of evidence. Willie Aames got very rich playing goofballs on 2 popular TV comedies. In the 1970s, he played teenager Tommy Bradford Jr. on 8 is Enough, and in the 80s, he played Buddy Lembeck, best friend of Charles in Charge. But Aames admitted to Entertainment Weekly, "At the very peak, I was making a little over $1 million a year. Then suddenly there was no job, no bank account, no wife, no child." Ames's accountant convinced him to invest his fortune into a coal mine. The deal soured, and Aames wound up in debt to the IRS for $400,000. His house went into foreclosure and he lost everything he had. Ames's wife left him, taking their daughter with her, which may have led to a suicide attempt. Aames remembered the time to ET, saying, "I gave people a lot of cause for concern, and I think they acted on those concerns. I'm glad they did. Beyond that time period is a blur." With about $5 to his name and unhoused, Aames lived with friends when possible, but otherwise resorted to sleeping in public parks and parking garages.